Hello everyone, this video is a tutorial which will show you how to install R and RStudio onto your personal computer. RStudio is simply a nice interface that allows us to interact with R more easily. If you recall, in Lecture 2 I included some notes at the end, or some links at the end that can bring you to reputable sources that will allow you to download R and RStudio. So to do that, I'm going to enter the presentation mode of the slides, just because it's a little easier to follow the links. First, we're going to install or download the R software itself. Again, I'm going to follow the link for R for Windows because I'm using a Windows-based computer. I'll use the link to install R for the first time. And I'm just going to follow the links and download R. Next, I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint slide and follow the links to download RStudio. We'll be using the free version of RStudio, which is RStudio Desktop. Again, it's just a matter of following some links and again using a Windows computer, so I will select that option. And now I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint and escape. And now I will begin the installation process for R first. Because RStudio needs R to really function, I want to make sure I install R first. So I was just prompted to allow R to make changes to my computer, and of course I want to allow it. And I'm going to use English as the default language to guide me through the installation process. And now it's just a matter of following the Windows installation wizards. Quickly reading the license information and allowing R to create some files and directories. I know I'm running a 64-bit version of Windows, so I'm going to select this, deselect the 32-bit files from installing, and I'm just going to use the default settings. Because the way that I'm going to base most of the work that I do is going to be out of using RStudio, I don't need to create a desktop icon for R specifically. And now it's just a matter of letting the software download, or install, rather. And then I'm simply going to click Finish to complete the wizard. And now I'm going to follow the same procedure for RStudio. Again, I want to allow RStudio to make changes to the computer, so I agree, and then simply follow the wizard, and click Next, and install. And I'll resume the tutorial after the extraction process is concluded. Okay, so now that the extraction and installation process is complete, I'm just going to click Finish to allow the wizard to finish and close. I will now use my Start menu to browse to RStudio and open it for the first time. You can see that the default installation of RStudio here has 3 windows: a console. Console is where I typically will see the output of my code. This environment and history window. This is if I run a model or save import data sets, things like that, they'll be stored in this section, so I can view everything that I have saved in a particular folder. And then this window down here is where I keep track of the various R packages that I'm using. You can see that the default installation of R has several packages already installed. In the library, some of these I will have additional packages I will have to install later. This project feature will become more important. We'll discuss this in a later tutorial. The first thing I want to do though, now that I have RStudio opened and installed, is open a markdown file. So I go to File, New File, and R Markdown. Now you can also work in R scripts, but I prefer R Markdown as they provide a nice export function for our completed code. If you were working in, say, the stat department, you would be required to probably write your thesis or dissertation using R. So R Markdown is a powerful tool and has some features similar to like a word processor. Now you'll note that because I haven't installed R before, this first time I try and open an R Markdown document, I have to install some additional packages that were not included when I initially installed R, so I'm simply going to say yes to this prompt. So now I get some prompts on starting a R Markdown file, such as giving it a title and author. Obviously I'm Tim Barrett, and we'll just call this a demo. And I say OK, and then in the upper left I get a new file, which is just an R Markdown file. And it shows I have various R codes set up in chunks, and eventually I could use what's called, or perform an operation called knitting, and this will export the file as an HTML document. And I'm simply going to save it as a demo in my documents folder. And so you can see the output of my code is just summarized in this nice word processing document. What's showing up here in the knitted HTML file is simply some of the default codes they include every time you start a new R Markdown file, just so you get an idea of what would be shown. Okay, now I also included in the notes that we would require a couple packages to perform some of the statistical modeling we'll be doing here in CE 552. Those packages were the mass package and the ordinal package. Before I install those packages, I want to change one little option for my R Markdown file, and that's that I want to set the chunk output into the console rather than inline, and that will mean that every model I run will output down in this bottom left quadrant rather than in this upper left quadrant. If I want to call on something that's already in my library, such as the mass file, we can see mass is shown right here. I simply click this button and now I have the mass function. However, if I want something that is not already included, such as the ordinal package, I have to install it. So I can go to Packages, Install, and I simply begin typing the name of the package I want, and I get prompted with a drop-down menu. So here I can just select Ordinal and Install, and you can see that it's referring back to that CRAN where we downloaded R originally, and it pulls in the package. So now in my user library, I have the file ordinal, and if I wanted to use it in some of the work I'm doing in R, I would have to bring it into my document using the following code: library. And then I simply type ordinal, and this lets R know that I want to use this package in this specific instance. and then I just simply run the selected line. And that is it. So thank you, and we'll have some more tutorials coming up shortly.